Good morning, friends, and welcome. Let's start our class today with the prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Layadima Shaya, Swami Shri Yuktaswarji, beloved Master Paramhansa Yoganandaji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy blessings at this time as we seek to attune ourselves ever more perfectly as channels for thee. Om Shanti Shanti. We'll start with the song and then an excerpt from a couple of talks by Swami Kriyanandaji. Welcome again, everybody.
Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee, all our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our melody. Make us each a channel of thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share thy love. Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee, all our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our make us each a channel of thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share thy love.
And so the only joy that you can attain is by absolutely giving yourself up to that will. You have nothing to stand on when you say, I want to express myself. But you find suddenly you've got the whole universe to stand on when you express his will. And thus that beautiful story in the Indian scriptures of God who, they're all tied up with these very sort of complex myths. And so there was this king of the demons who was given the boon that he couldn't be conquered by anybody, gods or human or demon. And he sort of wound up the contract in such a good way that it seemed as if nothing had happened. And then he began to be a tyrant, and his reign of terror ruled over the three worlds and caused suffering everywhere. And then God, in answer to the prayers of the suffering, manifested himself as a Brahmin. But as he grew up, he remained very small. He was a dwarf. And this Brahmin came to the court of this king, and everybody was wondering about who this beautiful shining boy was. And the king offered him a boon. And this little dwarf, who was really God in this little human form, said that all I want is 3 paces, enough ground for me to cover with 3 steps. And the king said, gladly, gladly. And so he took 1 step and covered the whole earth. He took another step and covered the whole sky. There was nowhere for his 3rd step, and he turned to the king and he said, now, where will I be able to step for the 3rd time? And the king who realized when he was licked. Knew a good thing when he was on to it. He said, "Lord, here's my head." And so God conquered this ego in him. But it's a story of us, how we think that we're going to just be able to conquer everything, and we don't see that it isn't our world. It seems so unfair in a way that somebody like Van Gogh, who was such a wonderful painter, and yet earned with his paintings the total of $16 in his whole life. Now one of them sells for $2 million or more. And it seems so unfair that here he dies and then his name is glorified. But in another way, it's not at all unfair, because it wasn't he anyway, it was God. We've just got to absolutely reconcile ourselves to the fact that it's his glory, not ours. It's his world, not ours. And he demands that of us. He demands the last ounce, which is to say, our heads. And when we offer that up to him and say, "Put your feet on my head," then we become him. The goal of religion is to unite ourselves with him. We think we've given up everything, and suddenly we find we've attained everything. As St. John of the Cross said, "He who would own everything should seek to own nothing. He who would be everything should seek to be nothing. He who would know everything should seek to know nothing." Not to have any wisdom of his own, not to take credit personally for anything that he does. And then suddenly he finds it, but he is a part of that. It's the infinite. And that infinite one, when you've cleared away all the grime, can shine through the particular colored pane of your stained glass window that is you. And every pane is different. But every pane becomes beautiful only when the sunlight shines through it. A stained glass window is colorless and dull until the sun shines upon it. And we are colorless and dull until we can get ourselves cleaned enough of ego and desire and attachment to the point where he shines. And then when he shines, it's the same sunlight, but through this pane it's red, through that one it's yellow, through that one it's green, and each one unique and each one beautiful. We become beautiful only to the extent that we let his light shine through us.
And the job of everybody who is on this path is to try to serve as a channel for the masters, because they will not talk out of the sky. They will talk through people. There's a story of a priest who went to a farmer in Ireland, and he said, "What a beautiful farm you and God have created here, and what a beautiful this you and God have done here, and what a beautiful that you and God have done here." Finally, the farmer felt he'd had enough. He said, "Well, Father, you may be right, but you should have seen it when God had it all to himself." God acts through channels, and we must be channels ourselves for that infinite light.
Good morning again, everyone. This is such an important and a wonderful and a subtle topic of how to open ourselves, how to be receptive, how to draw God's power, God's wisdom, all the qualities of the divine through us, into us, and through us, and how to serve in this world as a channel for the divine. You can be a channel for anything. You can be a channel for darkness. You can be a channel for laziness, low energy. You can be a channel for envy and hatred and all of those things. You can be a channel for light. And on our path, we've come to cleanse ourselves, to purify ourselves, to uplift ourselves in attunement with light, with God, with the gurus, with their level of consciousness, with their level of energy, with their level of magnetism, so that we can draw that into ourselves. And so this is such an important topic. And when we think about Master, he said, "I killed Yogananda long ago. No one, nothing is in this body now but God. And to be in tune with me, serve my work, to be able to draw from me, serve my work." And of course, these are Master's words. The channel is blessed by what flows through it. It's an essential part of the path. And when Swamiji came to Master, when he went to Master, he said, "I came not for what I can get, but what I can give, and I want to be your disciple, meaning I want to serve. I want to open myself to you. And Master immediately gave him things to do. And we have to realize as we open ourselves as channels, we are blessed. So Swamiji was able to edit Master's words. He was able to, and he changed from editing Master's words. He was able to lecture on Master's behalf, and he changed his consciousness from being able to lecture. He was able to help people. He was able to write. He was able to do so many things for Master. And another wonderful thing is Master helped him to do those things because he was open. And you have to think he must have been very attuned and very open for Master. When Swamiji was 22 years old, and Swamiji had only been there 8 months, for Master to start him out lecturing, giving Kriya even at that stage of his discipleship. But Master, another wonderful thing is Master helped him. He helped him to be able to do it. He was open so Master could come in. For example, with the yoga postures, he couldn't do the postures well, Swamiji. Master helped him. Every time he said, Walter, you do the postures, suddenly he could do the postures. When he had him writing, editing, he was writing and editing. He was editing through him. And Swamiji could feel Master was working through him. There were some thoughts Swamiji had that weren't the right kind of thoughts when he was talking to particular people in the congregation. And Master, he knew his thought. He said, I know every thought you think. So Swamiji came back and Master said, that's not the right thing to say. Don't talk like that. Because he was a channel for Master, Master could also read his thoughts. He knew that wasn't the right way of thinking, and he told him about it. And he said very clearly, don't forget where your power is coming from. And Swamiji had thought he had changed himself at a certain time, and he heard some of the monks had said, Master said, look how I changed him. But it's a wonderful phrase, a thought to meditate on, because he couldn't have changed him if he hadn't been open and receptive. And so he was an open, receptive channel for change to happen, for God's power to flow from Master to him, for God's magnetism, for inspiration to be able to write books, to be able to write music, to be able to lecture, to be able to help people, to be able to heal people. Swamiji became the channel of the Guru. Master was the channel for God. We have to be the channels for the divine to flow through us. And so what does that mean? Another thing I was thinking before I get to that is that Swamiji had asked some person to join in the work there in the monastery. And Master later, he said that person wasn't right for him. He wasn't ready for this level of commitment. And then he said to Swamiji an important thing. He said, I'm going to have to give you intuition. Wow. He didn't say you're going to have to learn intuition. He said, I'm going to have to give it to you. So you have to realize he's giving us. When thoughts come, high thoughts, inspiration, whatever, he's giving us. We're opening ourselves. And so what does that mean for us? If we're a teacher, we teach better. More ideas come, more inspiration comes, thoughts come, high thoughts come. If you're a painter like Jyotishji, he says that he feels inspired to paint. It's like the thoughts of what to paint, how to paint. And I know others that are in the Sangha that are artists. I'm sure they're tuning, if you're at that level, tuning to a higher level. That Master blesses you, Divine Mother blesses you to how to paint, what to paint. And Jyotishji pointed out, he said, many are nature paintings and many you see Master and Swamiji in the paintings. They come from them. And if you're a musician, then that kind of music will come from the divine into you. All of the things that we do, if you're a yoga teacher, you'll be inspired to be more open as a channel for a yoga teacher. If you're, whatever it is that you're doing, if anything that you're doing, if you're serving, you feel a divine inspiration flowing through you. It's not just You sense that writing and composing. And Swamiji would compose 30 songs in a day. And he said, it's just flowing through me. I'm a channel for that music. I'm a channel for the books to come through. 150 books flowed through the channel of Swami Kriyanandaji. All the communities that we have, all the lectures that he gave flowed through him. And so that's an example for us and everything that we're doing to open ourselves to that flow. And then what happens in our lives? Our lives get better. We have maybe better relationships. We perhaps have a better abundance coming to our life. We have more ideas. We have solutions that come. We have people to come to help us. Our health gets better. Maybe not, but at any rate, you feel more strong in yourself. There's a wonderful story of a disciple who, true, that master had him, he had not a very healthy body. He had to kind of roll over off the bed onto the floor to be able to stand up. He had double curvature of the spine, Swamiji said. And master, he didn't pamper people. He put him on a tractor to serve. And the man got more and more strong as he did the guru's work, as he was a channel for master's power, strength to flow through him. And he stayed there. He kept doing that work day by day. And then after a while, someone said, well, gosh, you're not well, are you? And you're not feeling that well. And aren't you ill? And the man started buying into it. And then he just wasn't as strong as he was the day before, because his thoughts were, well, I guess I'm not feeling that well. And he got weaker and weaker. And then he couldn't do the work anymore. You see how the mind works? I mean, who's giving us the strength? Who's giving us the power? Who's giving us the ideas? Who's giving us the inspiration? Master said that the ideas are universally rooted. Thoughts are universally rooted, not individually. Who's giving us the magnetism? Who's giving it to us? Who's allowing us to think and walk and behave and have the right attitudes? Who's doing it? We have to realize it's God. And for a devotee, we have to realize it's God that's working through us to do anything and everything in our lives, not just meditate or energize, but in our work, in our anything that we're doing at our job, the creative ideas, inspiration, initiative. It's all coming because of that attunement with God and gurus. And so anyway, the man got weaker and weaker and weaker till he couldn't do the job anymore, until he was bedridden. And then master said he got him a better room, he got a better bed, whatever it was. He just kept trying to help him. Finally, the man left. He got out of tune. He didn't attune himself to where the power was coming from. So his health deteriorated. And you might think, well, for a master, maybe, master had problems with his legs, or Swamiji had health issues, but they were still very clear channels for God. And so we have to realize that that power is a power that can be channeled through us. And so how do we do it? When we energize, we're channelizing that power of God. It's coming through us. When we do whatever, yoga postures, when we're teaching, when we're helping other people, we have to realize that that's a flow of magnetism that's coming from God and gurus. And so when we meditate, we should really, really deeply call after your meditation, during the meditation, before the meditation, call to Master, fill me with your energy, fill me with your inspiration, fill me with your magnetism, fill me with your joy, fill me with your strength, fill me with intuition, fill me with inspiration. And whatever it is that you're needing, fill me with ideas, fill me with God's power. And finally, fill me completely with yourself. This is the ultimate goal of being a channel. It's not a psychic thing. It's not, I see lights and whatever it is. It's fill me completely with God's power. Fill me completely with yourself. Now it's directional, but if you never start, it'll never happen. It's not passive. That I just sort of touch master's feet, or and mentally, or I put a flower on the altar, or that makes me a channel, or I chant a mantra, or I do a fire ceremony. You have to really, if you want to be a channel for the guru, you have to really want that. It's not given passively. It's not given if you're not open. It's not given in a way that you're not receptive. I really, really want to serve you. I want to be a channel for light, not wrong feelings and wrong attitudes. And I want to get rid of the ego. I don't want to think about myself. This is very important. I don't want to have everything coming to me. I want to be your channel. And it's a very powerful topic. Meditate on it, because it's not just, I went and talked to somebody at the center. I brought a cake to the center. It's like, no, in everything I do, I want to change myself. I want to change myself from what I am to what you want me to be. And after you meditate, ask inwardly, Master, what would you have me to do today, even? At your work, what would you have? How can I be more inspired today? How can I be more creative? How can I be more intuitive? How can I have more initiative? It means to really launch yourself into a higher level of consciousness and awareness, and attune yourself there with God and gurus. And I want to end with words from this wonderful book, How to Be a Channel by Swamiji. He gives points on being a channel. He says, you may wonder, how can I develop my own ability to be a channel? First, keep your mind elevated during the whole time as you want to serve as a channel. Don't simply open yourself passively. And that means for a yogi, all day, every day, you're just always trying to open, listen, feel, attune yourself. It will help you to concentrate specifically in the upper chakras. Next, before speaking in any way, any program or event, meditate deeply. Calm your thoughts. Lift your whole spirit up to God and ask Him to guide and inspire you. Next, give outward expression to your inspiration. Don't let it die dormant within you, or it will gradually wither and die. And finally, the greater the will, Yogananda used to say, the greater the flow of energy. It requires a completely positive flow of will and energy, a strong expectation that one will receive the inspiration, the guidance he wants for channeling, openness, receptivity to being a channel to take place. I would recommend this wonderful book to continue on with this topic. And I'll ask Natindra now to join me on the screen.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. I'll share the screen first. The first question, Dhyanaji, is can you tell some practical stories on how our gurus were channels for God?
Yeah, the autobiography is full of them, isn't it? You think of Rama raised from the dead. How did Lahiri Mahashaya do that? He was an open channel for God to heal Rama from being dead. That's a huge story. And there's many other stories. There's a master who got his high school diploma. There's a wonderful story of Swami Shri Teswarji with Lahiri Mahashaya. I may have told this story recently, but Swami Shri Teswarji, in his mind, he kept feeling like he was ill and he had lost many pounds. And you remember that story? So his guru helped him. Now, how did that happen? He healed him. He kept coming back. I feel good. No, I feel bad. No, I feel good. No, I feel bad. And the guru, he says, so Swami Shukteswarji wasn't Swami by then. He says, at that point, he says, you mean if I think I'm well and I gain my weight back, is it so? And his guru says, in this moment it's so. Now, how did that happen? Lahiri Mahashaya was a channel for God's power into the disciple. So what happened? Sri Yukteswarji gained not just strength, but weight, 50 pounds. 50 pounds in a day? I mean, that's an incredible story. Think about it. I think all you have to do is read and reread the great stories of autobiography of a yogi. I mean, you think of the levitating saint. How did that happen? He was a channel. He just lifted himself. God lifted him up. You think of the Tiger Swami, the disciple, so-called, not he was a disciple, but that man gave him so-called clabbered milk. It had poison in it. He overcame it because he was so pure in himself. He just didn't bother him. They all were great masters and in their own right. And they performed many miracles. I mean, I can go on, but I think you get the point. And I mean, you look at the Swami Sri Yukteswarji who resurrected his body. I mean, gee, how did he do that? I mean, he came back to master in full form. How did Lahiri Mahashaya resurrect his body? You know, look at these stories. They're just saying they were purely channels of the master. I mean, of God, pure channels. They could do anything. There's a wonderful story of master where his disciple, Janaka Swami, I mean, Rajarsi Janakananda, master wanted to go out for a drive. You know this story, Nitendra. And so I think it was in Encinitas. So someone came to tell Rajarsi, master wants to go for a drive. Rajarsi looks outside and he says, good heavens, it's pouring down rain. It's like monsoon time here. Why does he want to go out for a drive? So then he says, well, I'll go. If he wants to go, I'll go. So he puts his coat on. Now, this is what happens. He puts the coat on. He walks out the door. The ground is dry. There's no rain. Sun is shining. Master's standing there. No, it was Oliver Black. And he says, he looks at him and he says, for you, Oliver. I mean, really, they're one with God. And so they're not doing something different. They are one with God. No? Okay, next, you have another question?
Yes, Dhyanaji. After a while, there's a live question. When we receive appreciation for our artwork, how can we prevent our ego saying out loudly that this is my
Offer
artwork?
to God, everything offer to God. Every thought, every book you write, every painting you write, you make, everything you do, you just, as I said, it's directional. But someone gives you a gift, put it on the altar, offer to God. You have, I mean, does it make sense to you? I mean, so many thoughts come in my mind. I just know they're not my thoughts. Where did that come from? I didn't come up with that. And so in your artwork, as you do it, just say, Divine Mother, I've painted this for you. Anything that you do, you write a piece of music, Divine Mother, I give it, you play a piece, Divine Mother, I give this to you. Divine Mother, you give a lecture, you're a dancer, whatever, Divine Mother, I offer to you. And offer before, offer during, and offer after, I would say. Whenever you start painting, before, do a prayer. Master, Divine Mother, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for you. And I offer it to you. No, doesn't it make sense? It's so much better than, wow, look what I did. I'm a great painter. I'm also a great singer and a musician. And another interesting thing is Swamiji never called himself. I remember one man who came and said he was a composer, but he was completely egoic about it. I write, I have to write, I have to write, and I have to. And Swamiji said, if I never wrote another song, I'd be so happy. Do you see? So don't get in the habit of, no, I'm a musician. I'm a teacher. I hear this one a lot. Oh, I am. I don't get identified with anything. Divine Mother can strip you in a moment. You're gone. You know? Then what are you? Dead. So, I mean, that's the point. So even your life, I give my whole life to you. I give my breath to you. I give everything I do. You know, that's, I mean, India, this is the Indians from the Indian scriptures. Every aspect of my life I offer to the divine. Isn't it so? And it's not just one or two things, just like my whole head. I love that story. My whole head, I give it to you. Such a beautiful way to live. We should live more and more that way, directionally, but yes, try it. Don't say 40 years from now, I'll do it. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Dhanaji. The next question is, when Master spoke on the ship going from India to the US to begin his mission, how was he able to suddenly speak in English so well?
I'm looking for that boon myself for Hindi. But I do have that boon actually, because it really is his grace that I can speak in Hindi and give Korean Hindi. That I just know. I know it's master. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Do I study all the time? You have to do your part. But how was he able to speak? He opened himself up. Remember, he was saying inwardly he was praying to his guru, you must help me, you must help me. And he heard Swami Sri Teswarji saying, you can speak. And then he started talking. He didn't even know what he said afterwards. You know, people said, you gave a rousing lecture on such and such. And he said he made some inquiries as to what it was about. But that was a great thing. It's a great example. And, you know, if you feel nervous or whatever, and you're a new teacher or you're teaching yoga and you can just ask, Master, guide me. I have this picture here right next to me. And I feel Master, and I have Babaji there as well. Now, who's giving the talk? Understand? You gotta just open yourself. Shall I use the word humble yourself? To that you can't do anything without God's power. Do you have any more questions, Natendra?
Just one last question, Dhanaji. So Swamiji was ill a lot, and also Master had some problems with his legs where he couldn't walk for some time. So were they still channels for God even when they had unhealthy bodies?
Definitely. I mean, look what Swamiji did. I mean, even near the end of this incarnation, I remember we were in Chennai. There were 3,000 people. 1,000 couldn't get in, but 2,000 in the hall. Swamiji, he could barely stand up. People helped. No, he didn't stand up. He sat down for that lecture, but because he couldn't stand up, he couldn't sing very well. Whoa, as soon as he started talking, boom, that was such a power in that audience with 2,000 people. And then we started a center there. Now, how did that happen? God's power through Swamiji. He wasn't feeling well. He wasn't well. But that power came through. And so you have to know that a master is attuned to God. Doesn't matter what that body's looking like or doing. And a lot of the things, I think he took on karma of other people, honestly. And master, when they were carrying him up the stairs once, because he couldn't walk. I mean, he couldn't walk at the certain point of his life. And it's interesting what he said to them. He said, you're drawing a lot of magnetism. That's good. You know, so even he wasn't well. I mean, his legs weren't functioning properly, but he had the magnetism, you know. You're drawing a lot of magnetism. That's good. And so we can't look at just, oh, the person's unwell, person's whatever. Inside, they're swimming in God. That power is always there. The grace and the blessings, the presence of God is there in a master. If they look well or they don't look well, it's always there. God bless you all. Thank you, Natendra. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.